So, with our special episode that we're doing today, I'm asking you a question on theme.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
my question for you is, why is it that marketing people always want to say that something is dead? Why do you think that is an innately a marketing thing where we want to say, nope, that's dead? What do you think?
I think it's rather because so if I'm trying to seek first to understand before being understood, Joe. So if I'm looking from it from an inside baseball looking out, I think we are so fascinated as marketers for the last 25 years in terms of technology and the bright new shiny thing, like whatever the coolest new most innovative thing is, and of course we all know what that is today, but it is we want to we are performative this way. We're marketers after all. We want to be like, we're on top of it. We're on top of the bright, shiny new thing. And in order for the bright, shiny new thing to exist, the rationale is something else has to die. In other words, it can't be that something can exist in both things. It's like, if the internet is good, then print is dead. If social media is awesome, then the website is dead. If the email is dead, then that means social media or communities, online communities are alive, right? It's like something has to die in order for the bright shiny new thing to make sense to us. I think that's it.
Do you think
I didn't mean to get that deep already?
No, I like that answer, but I think a lot of it has to do with, and this takes me back to when I used to sell print advertising. So I'd go in and there would be folks that would have bought from one of the magazines I was repping a 12-time program or a 6-time program. And then all of a sudden in 02 or 03, they said, we're not doing that anymore. We're going digital.
Right.
And I always took that in a lot of cases to lack of a spine, or they couldn't communicate effectively to the C-level organization who was saying, we're going digital. They couldn't make the case for why we were doing print. Why were we involved in that space? So they said, I don't have a good enough excuse, so we're just going to move everything over here. And lo and behold, 2 years later, they said, oh, no, we do. We realized that really impacted the business. We have to do print again. I was just like, what? So that's where I
sure,
maybe I was too negative against.
It's the gold rush, right? When you're in the middle of a gold rush, which unfortunately, because of the pressure on marketing to do short-term wins, right? Basically, there's a whole show we could do on short-termism in business, but short-termism in marketing has existed for 26 years since digital has really reared its head. And it's like, I want results tomorrow. And so that means that marketers and marketing teams are always on the lookout to the thing that can provide results tomorrow. And if it can provide results tomorrow, it means we can't do the other thing. So what we do is we sort of go, yeah, that thing is dead. But that thing is dead because we're going to focus on the results tomorrow. And then when we realize that the new thing didn't provide results tomorrow, we go, hey, the old thing kind of worked. So let's go back to Joe and say that we need to do print again.
Content marketing is dead.
Yeah.
You're dead to me. All right, let's do this. Yeah.
And now for your listening pleasure, here's Polizzi and Rose, covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. Take it away, boys.
Well, hello, friends. Welcome to This Old Marketing, proudly brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network. It's the audio destination for business professionals, and I'm Robert Rose. And with me, as usual, is my pal, my colleague, and just like me, a converted Swiftie after watching the Taylor Swift documentary, Mr. Joe Polizzi.
I haven't watched it.
You should. You should watch it.
This is the documentary that
the Eras Tour.
Yeah, her and her father put together.
It's
that
the
they
Eras
own
Tour.
and controlled. Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to see it. I'm going. Is this Netflix?
Yes, it is Netflix, and it's. So here's the thing. I'm not a fan of the music. I just never have been. Right. I mean, I think the songs are nice, and her songs are I liked her better as a country artist than as a pop artist. But her self-awareness and focus on what it means to be a content creator and to be who she is she's probably the most self-aware artist at that stature, at that level, that I've ever seen. Like, like, take any big star that you've ever, I mean, and that includes the Beatles, it includes Elvis, it includes at that level, she's so incredibly self-aware of what her role is and what the role of her content is. As she's doing interviews, because all sorts of things happen that I won't spoil during this Eras tour, which just the statistics behind that Eras tour is,
and they share them in the documentary about how many people went and everything. Okay,
yes.
I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, 10 million people saw her in concert. 10
in person?
million people. Yes.
Oh, that's hard to believe.
10 million people across that Eras tour. 700 days, I think it was. It's incredible. I mean, it's just it's mind-boggling the size and scope of that thing.
I have not seen that one, but I don't know if it was another documentary or just some special I was watching where it was she was having a political conversation with her team.
Yeah, that's right.
And she's very like, look, I know I'm not supposed to get political, but I really believe in these things and I have a platform. Yeah. And I really feel that I need to, and if I don't say, like because she was going on, if I don't say something, I can't go forward. It's not me. I want to share this and I know I'll lose some fans.
Yeah.
But that's okay because I want to be more of me on stage and everywhere else. And I'm like, just having that conversation.
Yeah.
Because that's
well, here's the counterbalance that just shows how self-aware she is around all of that. So, and I'm not spoiling anything, it happened. Okay. So you can see it in the news, but basically, early on, and she's in Europe, right? So in the tour, she's in Europe, and there is a threat of a shooting, like that didn't actually happen, but there is a threat of a shooting, and they cancel the show because of it. And so it affects her deeply, right? You can see that it's like bumming her out, like in a bad way, that they had to cancel shows and all of that, and that why they had to cancel the shows, which were just awful. And the interesting thing is she's there and she's, some things happen, some other things happen that make her, like she could have easily gone into that sort of star, I'm a victim mode. Right. And, and basically, gone on stage and talked about it and cried and do all that kind of stuff. And what she did was she actually talks about it in the documentary when she's being interviewed. She's like, that's not why they come to me. My audience doesn't come to the show to watch me cry or be emotional or say, woe is me. They're here to escape for 3 hours in this case, because of her show is 3 hours. They're here to not think about that stuff. She said, so my role is not to go up and say, look at me, like how awful this is and how hard my life is. It's to basically let my audience experience something that is great and beyond. And it's just so few artists out there that are that self-aware of what it is they're doing and what their role is in terms of the way that they service their fans. It's quite amazing.
Well, it's funny because you and I, this was a couple of weeks ago, there were some really horrible things that happened in the news.
Yes.
And I think you said to me, maybe we should talk about this. Now, and so we have a very small audience compared to Taylor Swift, but we both agreed. We said our audience is not here to listen to us.
That's right. There's plenty of places to talk about that, and this is not.
And we talk about some of that stuff enough.
Yeah.
But I think that was a good decision. We're like, no, we don't want to talk about that today.
The external stuff drips in, as of course it will, right? To your point about Taylor saying, hey, at some point she's gonna talk, she's gonna be her, right? I mean, as she said. And I think for us, those things drip in occasionally because they're just because they're part of our lives. But I think our decision to not make them a focus point and topic of the show and the discussion is a good one, because that's not, I mean, look, we're two chuckleheads, as we've said many times. And like, that's not why our fans tune in, right? That's not why people tune in. They tune in because we're a good accompaniment to cleaning their house.
You know what? Why do they tune in? No, you should say it's really fun. It's really a fun little testimonial we got.
Yeah. We gotta. So the reason I'm laughing
right?
so hard, folks, is because we
Yeah.
got a lovely testimonial from one of our listeners, and it's just so much fun. And he was mad because we during the holidays we did a couple of shows that were like 30 minutes long, and he's like, I clean my house to your show and I have to find another podcast because your show,
if you're not going to go at least an hour.
So we're filling the gap of cleaning and the commute, and we get it. Most commutes, most cleaning tasks, they're about an hour long. And
I don't think I've ever felt as needed or wanted
than
when we got
it's
that
my
note.
favorite thing. It's my very favorite thing. So,
by the way, while you're saying that, and we have listened, this is really important because in a couple weeks we're doing a Q&A listener mailbag.
Oh
show.
God, yes, please. We need some questions. We need your participation. What do you want to talk? What do you want us to answer?
What do you want? And by the way, we've decided, or maybe I just decided this, that nothing's off limits. Whatever. Now they're going to be marketing, content creation, but I think that if you want to ask us
AMA, let's do we're doing AMA.
Yeah. AMA. So you can do it a couple different ways. Go to thisoldmarketing.com. Thisoldmarketing.com. We want to send everybody there. Don't put them on YouTube. I mean, you can put them on YouTube and whatever, but we'll put them in one location.
If you really want us to see it, but go to thisoldmarketing.com.
You can type it in, which is fine, and you can also record it. You could do either one.
Yeah.
Very easy to do. Go to thisoldmarketing.com and submit it, and we'll take a handful of them. And judging by how long you and I stay on a topic, maybe we can get to 2. I don't know.
Depends on the question, I suppose.
I would like, we'll get to as many as we can, but that's going to be a fun episode because we've actually had we've had a lot of questions recently that we haven't been able to get on.
That's right.
Here. So this will be fun to do that.
Yeah.
So thisoldmarketing.com. It's going to be in I don't know when, 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fantastic. So,
I love it.
And
well, we have
we
got a good fun special episode. What we're going to do is what we wanted to do this week was talk about, as we did in the cold open, talk a little bit about what marketers think are dead, right? But aren't. And then flip it on its head a little bit after we pay the bills. We'll flip it on its head and say basically what should be dead, but probably won't be dead. And so we'll talk about a few things. And
you cannot wish for people to be dead.
No, it's
just
not.
So I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
So you, Robert. I'm Joe. Robert. Some people get it. That's
I think we all know
sometimes
what that is. Yeah.
Sometimes people can't tell the difference between us.
Like, which is odd.
Some people
but
say
yes.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if I like that.
I think they just flip it in their heads, right? They just flip it in their heads.
Yeah. This one talking right now is Joe.
So if it sounds smart and is well articulated, it's Robert. If it's got something to do with the Cleveland Browns, it's
old
Joe.
and curmudgeon-y, it's Robert.
Yeah.
If it sounds youthful and spirited, it's Joe.
All right.
So
let's start
where
this.
Would you like to start?
I would like to start this on. So here's the question. The question that we asked each other and went back and forth on email on this was basically what marketers believe. It could be a concept, it could be a tactic, it could be a technology, it could be a platform, what marketers basically think are dead in 2026 or, 2025 or, basically over the last couple of years, but definitely are not dead because they're providing great results. Let's start with the first one and the obvious one, which has basically been in the news, which is the website. Basically, I'm seeing so many questions from clients. I'm seeing it at events. I'm seeing it online that says basically the website as we know it is dead. Your take, Mr. Polizzi, go.
I think if you're just talking about top level SEO, if that's your goal of your website, then you might be right. if it's for right now, we know how important the website is for AEO, or artificial intelligence findability, if you will, on these platforms, because they lean text first, and they're going out to your website, they're learning off of your website, and you can actually train AI right now to say what you want it to say if you have the right content out there. Like, what do you want to stand for? So make sure it's out there in textual, and your website does a lot of that heavy lifting. I think that the website will stick around for, especially in the B2B standpoint, when they're ready to buy. When somebody is ready to buy, I think ultimately they want to go to the source. They want to go to your website that you own and you control. They might get all their other information from all the other vendors in a million different places. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I think they're going to your website. And I think that stays that way. I don't know, for the next quite a few years. I don't think that's dying at all. What do you think?
I think you're generally right. But as usual, specifically wrong.
Okay.
No.
What do you got?
I'm kidding. What I would say is that it changes it doesn't change the nature of websites, but it changes the focus of the nature of websites. So I totally agree with you, right? You know, if you're still treating your website as the basically information billboard, yellow pages, information about our company on the super information highway, those days are over, right? That is you know, the days of the corporate website being just an informational source are really over, and you could exist without one if that's all you were going to do. I think it changes the focus of the website, to your point, in two ways. One is as the right information around what it is you want to, you know, be in the world, right? You know, in other words, a stake in the ground about what it is we do, right? In other words, and getting very clear about that for the answer engine optimization sort of idea. And there's some wonderful examples of this that have been sent to us and we've seen online, where the answer engines are using third parties for sure, but they're also using your own website as a means of triangulating facts versus, you know, so FAQs, sure, et cetera, et cetera. There still is a role for that clarity in terms of the depth of what you do, the About Us page being really built for answer engines more than anything else. More importantly, I think to your point about the low funnel and the beyond the transaction, customer service and low funnel ideas, is around functionality. So the website, so the way I've been describing it is website as app. So website as a functional experience of some kind. Now that may be a marketing function, right? It may be a place where your audience can go and do a configurator or do a calculator of pricing or do an interactive poll or in some way interact with the community or get a pricing calculator or whatever it is. Or it may be e-commerce. It may be customer service. It's in some way a functional system that the AI LLMs can't duplicate, right? And won't duplicate. And so your website becomes a destination for your prospective or existing customers to do something.
That's
right.
And
I've actually done this with my own website for Seventh Bear. We've turned it into a subscription-based magazine, basically. In other words, it's now you can get all the content and there's clear, but the real focus of it is so that you can subscribe to it and subscribe to our newsletter, which will have content that is behind the red velvet ropes. There will be content, interactivity, community behind the red velvet ropes that you can subscribe to. So that's what I think
I think that's important. I think that like 2026 is a really good time to go back to your team and say, what is the purpose of our website?
Yes, exactly.
Because there are many. Like, for example, like if you're an e-commerce site, I would say that you would want to focus on controlling that level of experience, because you don't want all of your distribution to go to Amazon or Walmart, right, or wherever you're going, right? You want to make sure that you can control that experience, at least somewhat, to some group of people.
Yeah, I learned that from you. I transformed my personal, so I have two websites. I have my company website that does all my consulting work. And then I have of course, my personal website, which is me as an author and a speaker and all that kind of stuff. And that's an e-commerce store now. Like my personal website is an e-commerce store.
Yeah, you don't have to. We're not all in the same business, so we shouldn't all have the same
Of course
websites
not.
and
Right.
the purpose. But
But
there's
functionality and destination and experience are the sort of words that I would use.
But the last thing I would just say, and I'm not in the restaurant business, but I have a few friends that own restaurants, and when I go on to Google or to Yelp or whatever to get information about the restaurant I'm going to, oftentimes that information is incorrect.
Yeah.
And then if you're not sure, I always want to go to the website of the restaurant. And what scares me is how very few restaurants keep their website updated.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they have since relied on all the other things. And then I immediately get turned off. And I'm like, is this still in business? Like, do they not care enough this is their most important channel or one of their most important channels? It's a concern. So I think that because of the belief you're talking about, that they believe somebody in that organization said the website's not very important, we're not going to update it, they're going to lose the customers.
Yeah.
So, there you go. All right.
Good. Here's another one real quick we can do before we pay some bills. So this is another one that we see a lot of in terms of what's dying and sort of fading away, as it were. The function of public relations and comms, external comms especially. So PR and comms is sort of something I see a lot of, where people go, press release is dead. Press, the analyst relations, that happens in different ways now. All that sort of function of the business is now just becoming part of content or something like that. And so there's a lack of focus on it. And
so you talk strong. This is yours. You talk to it.
I have a strong reaction to that, because this is the mirror image of our conversation around the website, which is what is also true these days, is that we have to extend our content footprint. And what I mean by that is that it is ever more important that we actually have correct and accurate as well as compelling content on what I've been calling, OPAs, other people's audiences. And because if you think about just even from the simple concept of answer engine optimization, right? So the optimizing for AI, your website is not the first place that it's going, right? It is going to other places. It's going to YouTube, it's going to Reddit, it's going to Forbes, it's going to other places. So search these days, the way I've been saying it to my clients is, search these days is less about being found and more about being cited, right? Being quoted, being found on another place where people go, ooh, who is this person that I just read this article from on some blog or some magazine, or it was quoted in something. I'm going to go find them and go see what they're all about. That's the new sort of journey, if you will, when it comes to search. So PR and comms is shifting as well, but I'm seeing so much success with the businesses that I'm working with, where PR and comms have shifted their goals to, whether it's industry thought leadership, whether it's getting their individual people out speaking at conferences and speaking on podcasts and writing op-eds and doing all those things. That becomes the shift for PR and comms, is to get the people within an organization out and in front of other people's audiences. And very much like, you and I used to have this discussion so much in the very early days of content marketing, where we would talk about, 2007, 2008, we would talk about the idea of first start with your sphere of influence and then have sort of the gravity well, your website, your blog, your newsletter, et cetera, sort of pulling in. But if you're just starting, you need to get your name out there, right? You need to get your name and your reputation and your, what it is you're doing out in the world. We're right back there, right? Where you need to get your name, your reputation out there in the world. So guest blogging is back, op-eds are back, guesting on podcasts, guesting on webinars, guesting everywhere you can, so that you're extending that content footprint, and PR and comms are at the front and center of that.
I would agree with you. Where it's really changed is the PR and comms person moving away from the corporate to the individual.
Yeah,
that's right. Really,
yes, exactly. That's a great way to put it.
And then you're a PR person, and you're working with 5 to 10 influencers in the organization, and you're working on their behalf. And by the way, teaching them.
Yeah.
what I've seen in a lot of cases is you have somebody on PR that's working to get somebody placed at an event, but they're not doing the work. They're not doing the work on their LinkedIn page. They're not doing the work and doing their own articles. And that's where I expect a lot of the PR education to come in. It's like, look, I'm going to help talk to all these outlets, to all these events to get you placed, but you can't just sit there and do nothing.
That's right.
You have to make sure that you're planting the seeds, if you will, so that it makes it easier for me to do the things that you need us to do for as the organization. And that's what's really special, because you're right. I mean, you go to some of these events and it's funny to see where you have people that are sponsoring and buying these big booths, and their competitors won't have any presence, but they'll have 2 or 3 people that are speaking. Get the attention. It's like, wow, you could see the difference in what's happening there. You've got one that's not doing that work, that are just paying for that access, and you got other ones that are getting in there on their own merit. So
exactly.
Interesting.
All right, 2 quick short ones before we go to pay the bills.
Okay.
Because I wanted to give you a chance to talk about the second one. So I'll just mention the 2, and then we can break real quick, which is basically, one is purpose-driven marketing. So whether you call that the former ESG or social focused marketing or whatever, it's basically building a story or a narrative or your brand around, the classic is sort of Ben and Jerry's or Patagonia or those kinds of things. Purpose-driven marketing, which has really seen a decline, and a lot of people are saying it's dead these days. I think it's not at all. I think it takes guts, and it takes a special kind of brand to be able to do it. So it's not for everybody, but it's absolutely 100% not dead. And young people are still rallying around brands that share their social beliefs. So there's still a lot of ground to get for that. The second one, which I would mention, which is right up your alley, which is physical media, whether it's vinyl, print, books, etc. Physical media and for content is not dead. None of it is dead. It is very much alive, and probably one of the most differentiating things you can do.
I mean, if you go from what happened during COVID to now, I can't imagine the tectonic shift we've seen in in-person events and how important they are. As I have this argument every other day with somebody talking about, yes, AI can do a lot of different things, but right now
they shake your hand.
Get up. They cannot shake your hand. They cannot get up on a stage. They cannot talk to people. They cannot persuade in person.
Yeah.
So, and again, I don't know the answers to these things. Maybe they will someday, but right now they can't. So that's where we need to put a little bit of that extra focus, because it is so difficult to break through all the content clutter. Right now with what's going online and all these algorithms. And we talked last episode about the fact that Instagram doesn't care. Like, you have to compete as a human creator with all this AI slop. So go where they ain't. There's no AI competition right now in person. So focus on and I would say, if I'm, we go back to the PR effort, go back to kind of planting those seeds, I would be setting up a training organization within every enterprise around public speaking.
Oh God, yes.
Everyone should have a public speaking
100%.
camp and regular, and I'm of course, I used to teach public speaking. I'm such a believer in it. But as somebody comes into the organization, they generally get trained. They get trained on whatever's going on in the culture and the
technology and how to use Salesforce better,
all
and
that
how to use HubSpot and click around on
exactly.
things.
That's the first couple weeks. Part of that should be public speaking.
100%. And by the way, strategy and creativity and all those soft skills that aren't getting taught these days. Get me on a rant on that stuff. I mean, it's basically burn your playbook and implement valuable friction. There you go.
Yes.
Burn the playbook with valuable friction.
Speaking of valuable friction, do you want to go to?
Let's pay a couple of bills here.
For those of you that aren't watching this, I love the dance. I love the dance.
The dance is great. The choreography is great.
We'll try and learn it. The words, of course, are fantastic.
We will try and learn
in concert with the visuals.
Yeah,
they do it every time. Here you go.
This one goes out to all my creators, dreamers, podcasters in basements with champagne tastes and rhyming budgets. Yo, I came in the game with a mic and a plan. No budget, just hustle and bandwidth on demand. Now I'm flipping this script like it's Q2 stats. Got a branded crew neck and a stack of slacks. Yeah, I monetize the mundane. Flip pain to gain. Turn a soft red into hard rain. You can keep your fame, I got better skills. Like convincing grown folks to click HubSpot deals. Paying the bills. With a mic and a dream and a couple cheap thrills. Paying the bills. Yeah, I read that script, but I still got chills. Paying the bills. From the inbox pings to the branded spills. It ain't selling out, it's survival skills. This ain't a side hustle, fam, this is paying the bills. I used to post for the vibe, now I post for the rate. Every download I get, I calculate fate. Analytics in my stocking, sponsors in my ear. Got a segment going live by the end of the year. I pitch like a poet, spit truth like a monk. Got B2B bars with a trunk full of funk. And while the haters still playing unpaid chills, I'm warm in the glow with my monthly bills. Say what? Paying the bills. That's right. Yeah. Paying the bills. Feed the fam. Paying the bills. Run the scam. Just kidding. Paying the bills.
Cutting your sales cycle in half? I mean, come on, that sounds, well, pretty impossible. But that's exactly what Sandler Training did with HubSpot. What did they do specifically? Well, they used Breeze, HubSpot's AI tools, to tailor every customer interaction without losing their personal human touch. And the results? Well, the results were pretty incredible. Click-through rates jumped by 25%, qualified leads quadrupled, and people spent 3 times longer on their landing pages. That's making the impossible sound, well, pretty possible. Go to HubSpot.com to see how Breeze can help your business grow today. Do you want to create like the greats? Well, you should listen to Create Like the Greats, the podcast hosted by Ross Simmons. Every episode hosts an in-depth analysis of some of the greatest creations and creators of all time, along with a deep dive conversation on the creative process that went into building companies, brands, stories, and more. Audiences love Ross's voice, and he's very knowledgeable and has the ability to break down topics in a way that, well, is also practical. Ross also has put into practice the things he shares for at least a decade now. If you like learning about history, learning about the creative process, and are a laid-back person, you're going to like this podcast. Find Create the Greats wherever you follow your favorite pods.
Yeah. Paying the bills. Feed the fam. Paying the bills. Run the scam. Just kidding. It's a cold world out here with warm mics still. Do the math, baby. I'm just paying the bills.
Paying bills. I almost got up and danced during that little break. That's how good that was. Do you? I always ask you this question, and sometimes you have an answer.
Yes.
What's the next genre going to be?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be. So it was really a tough one to choose in January whether it was going to be. But the two were 80s glam metal, and 90s hip hop. And so I think February is going to be 80s glam metal. Because I really,
you felt like The Cure.
That's a like no.
Oh,
That's
you're talking
Rats,
oh, like
Cinderella, Motley Crue.
Got it. Okay, got it. What's
that's a genre
Cure?
I know.
The Cure
really
is
well.
What would you consider The Cure? The Cure is like the opposite.
New wave. New wave. I would consider new wave. Yeah. Kind of new wave. I mean, it's I would say Cure is new wave. It's it's the same as Depeche Mode or somebody like that.
Whenever there's a new song on and somebody says, "Oh, there's way too much sex in that song," I always say, "Do you listen to Poison's early?"
Yeah. You want to go back and listen to any 80s.
I'm like, it's all
glam
about
rock. It's all sex. That's all it is sex.
There's some drugs, mostly sex.
Yeah. So, Jumpstart my heart, my friend.
Oh my God. Yes. All right. Where do you want to go now? What are we doing?
So we're going to flip gears a little bit. So now what we're going to do to close things out is to basically say, okay, what are a couple of things that should die in marketing, but probably won't because they just refuse to go I don't know, the way of the dodo.
The way of the dodo. Marketing dodo.
Yeah.
Do you have one? You want me to start with mine?
No, why don't you start with yours? Why don't you start with yours? Because
I
definitely have one.
Yeah, I didn't know a way to put this, so I'll just say safe marketing. So safe marketing should be dead. And we're seeing a lot of that now, right? Because you talked about even under the purpose-driven marketing, where there's a lull right now because making waves, there was some concerns, especially in the United States, but
being spicy, right?
Yeah. But I really think that if your marketing doesn't, I don't want to say doesn't offend somebody, but if it doesn't take some risks, why are you doing it? Like, you really need to take a stance. And I think a lot of that comes down to maybe mix it in with the importance of the human content creator, where we know that a little bit of what the future holds, where there is a lot of AI content and there's a lot of sameness there. There's going to be a lot of synthetic content that's going to be created kind of on demand.
That's right.
But we talked about this last episode. I really believe that the human creator is going to be like vinyl.
Yeah.
Where it's going to be an acquired taste. It's going to be raw in some cases. It's going to be imperfect. And that's going to be wanted by a large group of people, a niche group of people, specifically for companies out there.
Yeah.
And that's going to create visibility instead of invisibility. And I think a lot of marketing out there is, I don't want to make waves. Let's just check the boxes still. And I think there's going to be, especially as we get out of this, hey, I don't want to ruffle any feathers mode. You're going to see maybe end of 26, 27, 28, you're going to see a lot more, hopefully a lot more of this happening, where brands are going to say, look, I'm tired of just singing the same old song here.
Yeah.
We have to stand for something if we're going to get the attention. And you made that comment on the younger folks. They really do. Any of the social efforts from some of these brands, they really do tie themselves to that.
Yeah.
As part of their own identity. So I think there's a huge problem. So the things that, the whole safe marketing thing should be dead.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Die. Yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, and we've, you and I used to teach this in our content marketing workshop that we used to do, where we would talk about because especially in B2B, there's a right answer, right? In many ways, right? There's, it's like if you're talking about cloud computing or industrial generators or, things like, there's a right answer. And so your competitors and you are going to share that answer, right? There's no being spicy or provocative about those things in a particular way. But there's two levers you can push, right? Where there's one, what you're saying. In other words, the point of view that you have. What point of view do you have about your market, the world that we live in, whatever it is, the future? So you can be to Joe's point, sort of, you can be provocative there, you can be different there, or you can be provocative in the way that you say it. In other words, what platform you choose, the tone, the personality that you choose to do it through, and balancing those two levers gives you the ability to, one of the things that I've been talking with my clients about is instead of focusing so hard on your unique value proposition, right? So arguably, with as much globalization and so much competition at all levels, big companies, small companies, mid-sized companies, et cetera, the unique value proposition doesn't really exist in your marketplace. What does exist is the uncommon value proposition. In other words, it's not something that everybody else is talking about, or it's not being talked about in the way that you're talking about. And that's the way to think about that.
I love that. It kind of reminds me of the whole we're not best for, or we're not for you strategy, which coming out I love that, where you're coming out and you're saying, look, we're not good for you if you're this, this, and this. Like,
right.
come that quickly with that.
That's right.
So that you can really focus on your core customer and dominate that market. And I think there's still too much of, we could fit whatever your needs are. We'll figure it out. I want somebody to come out and say, no. We're not for you.
Right.
Go over here.
It's
if you want that. And even focus on your competitors in that case. You get so much credibility if you do that.
I used to go into sales organizations at large companies that were trying to implement the challenger sales model, where you would challenge the customer with a provocation, basically saying, we're not right for you, or this, whatever it is. It's so hard because those salespeople at those enterprise
They don't
companies
wanna
were
do
like,
it.
the challenge would come in. They're like, well, it's how quickly they back off their own challenge. It's like, well, we could do that. We might be that for you. All right.
Well, last one, I just
Yeah,
it
yeah.
remind me of something. When I was going head to head with a couple companies for custom publishing, this is 20 years ago. One of our main competitors, I found this out after the fact. They would always come in, no matter what the project was, and when they were doing the pitch, they would say, "This is too expensive for you. You
Right.
most likely can't afford it."
Exactly.
They would every time, and they
Yeah.
said their close rate
Yeah.
was almost 100% because
That's right.
when you tell people they can't have something, they
Right.
want it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, what's yours?
Okay.
What do you-
Mine is personalization. My big one is personalization. It's like I'm a hopeful. I'm doubtful, but I'm hopeful that at some point we could just like put a pin in this thing. We've been trying to do it for 26 years. The biggest companies on the world aren't good at it, right? This one-to-one thing. You still go to Amazon, probably the one app on the planet that you use more than any other app, maybe besides Facebook. And by the way, Facebook doesn't do it particularly well either. Which is this one-to-one communication where, you and it's especially true right after the holidays, right? Where you've spent buying gifts, you bought the Barbie dolls for your kids, you bought the, this, and basically like, you still haven't gotten that Ken doll yet. You really need, it's like, do you understand what, and I don't know why we would think we're ever going to get good at it. We just never are going to get good at it. Now, personalization is different than targeting, right? So there's content targeting based on traffic, based on behavior, based on intention and there's some really interesting things going on there, especially with AI and targeting and those sorts of things. But that's not personalization, right? That's not, hi, Joe, the last time you were here, you bought this, which is just simply Mad Libs. But it's that the marketing that works is personal. It's not necessarily personalized. And I just hope that we can stop spinning our wheels, trying to do all these data lakes and all this huge data warehousing so that personalization becomes some sort of real thing in our business, especially where we don't have statistical relevance enough to do that. Just give up the ghost, let it die, get into targeting and general brand marketing and call it a day.
It's interesting. This brings up on topic, but Park Howell sent me this article in the New York Times, and it was about like this new wave of restaurants in New York that are seeing popularity, and they really talk about the familiarity. It's not personalization, it's familiarity. I want to go into a restaurant where they don't make a big fuss. I know what's on the menu. They know who I am, and they just see me and let me like go ahead and sit down. But I feel good because it's not like, who are you? And okay, got that. I'm going to make a big fuss out of it. We're going to put you at this table. And this is it's just like, oh, hey, George, go ahead. The familiarity is
I use that example in my class that I teach on this. I use that exact example. It's like the restaurant that I go to in here in Los Angeles, one of our favorite Italian places. The owner, his personalization system is a book. Like it's literally a book. We've been in there countless times. He knows exactly who we are, but he doesn't necessarily remember us by name. He knows, but he knows us, right? He knows that because our faces and whatnot, we've been in there so many times. When we make the reservation, he knows if it's a reservation for two, basically he knows it's a table in the back and he's got a bottle of wine there and he's ready to roll, right? Because he knows it's familiar with us enough to know that that's what we're going for. If it's a reservation for 4 or more, he's got us basically in the front with a big table. He comes over and makes a big deal about, about how well he knows us, and he's got a bottle of Prosecco and stuff like that. And is it my favorite Prosecco? No, but they don't know that. In other words, he's making it familiar without being personalized. And the reason I know that is because I've watched him do it to other people as well, and other people that he said, oh, it's so great to see you again. You're to both of you. We got a private table over here for you. It's like, he does it for everybody, to the point where we made a joke one point that we wanted a plaque because we have a favorite booth there. We said we wanted a plaque with our name in that booth. And he was like, sure. And so now when we go in, there's our name is in the booth.
Oh my
right?
God.
But
that's
it's a sliding thing. He's got it for other people too.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Like they put it up for you.
They just
That's
put it
great.
up for me, and then there's another plaque for someone else. So there you go.
That reminds me of if you go to Morton's, which I don't very often, but if you go to Morton's, they have an individual case that people can leave their wine bottles.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like with their name on it and the whole thing. I'm like, well, I wonder how many times you got to come to Morton's to get the custom box. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Good. No, that was fun.
Yeah,
that
was totally fun.
That was
totally
fun. And we want to apologize. We're still 14 minutes late for the cleaning.
Yeah. But hopefully you get your cleaning done, my friend.
Just start playing it again.
Yeah, just
play the beginning.
That's all you
again.
do. Or let the music. You know what we should do is we should have like the director's cut with like a full on orchestral. I'm going to do this. A full on orchestral arrangement of the theme song of This Old Marketing, like true orchestra. Like I'm going to totally do that. And we can feature it somewhere, because an orchestral arrangement that is like, 7 minutes long or something of the This Old Marketing theme song would be so good.
Again, are we doing this for the audience? Or are we doing it?
No, we're doing it for ourselves.
Yeah,
and if an audience member enjoys it, then fine.
But
it'll be good for cleaning. It's good for cleaning, like an orchestral piece, very, classical orchestral piece would be great cleaning.
I think that's interesting. But I think it's worked really well for us to keep our audience small, because we just do the things we want to do, and we don't really listen to our audience.
That's right.
So we're
the Rick Rubin of podcast.
Although,
basically.
back again, go to thisoldmarketing.com and submit your question, and in 2 or 3 weeks we will hopefully read it on air, and we'll have a good time doing it.
It's fantastic. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Yes, please do give us some comments, give us some questions for our question show coming up in a couple of weeks here. We'll probably pitch it again next week when we do our next show. And so, until then, until we see you next week with a regular news show, just remember, everybody, it is your story to tell. Tell it well. We'll see you next week on This Old Marketing. Hey, thanks a lot for making it this far in this week's episode, and thank you all for being a part of This Old Marketing. You can check out all the show notes of what we talked about today at thisoldmarketing.com, and it's also where you can leave us a review or a voicemail. We need those reviews and comments on whichever platform you follow us on. And if you haven't followed the podcast, please go do that and make sure you catch the latest and greatest episodes every Friday morning. We're on Apple and Spotify and all your other favorite podcatchers, of course, but we'd love it if you went over and subscribe to us on YouTube. That's right, YouTube. youtube.com/@thisoldmarketing. We'll see you again next week, folks, with another episode of This Old Marketing.